This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Shaun, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, my good friends, the pit crew, you are the real star of today's show, because we are here to talk about sim racing. Hope everybody had a great weekend. It is Monday. Happy Monday to everybody out there. And, what a weekend it was, if you really think about it. So many things going on. We had incredible racing this weekend all over the place. In fact, there was so much racing going on that unless you made your calendar perfectly set, you were going to miss something. It was just either there was overlap or multiple events going on at the same time. Crazy stuff. I did get a chance this weekend, a few things that I watched. I did watch the F1 race. I don't always get a chance to watch the F1 race, but I happened to be awake. I happened to be ready. And what a race it was. I don't know if you guys saw it. The race was, there was rain, there were crashes, there were not what you would expect. And in the end of the day, Max Verstappen went on to win. And one thing I've noticed about Max Verstappen, you have drivers. This is one thing I've actually said about myself. The harder you make the conditions, typically the better I do. The sloppier the car, the sloppier the conditions, the harder the track. And in other cases, there are other people whose precision, and I think that as a result of being good at dealing with conditions versus somebody who's great at dealing with perfection. Totally different discipline, even within the same type of racing. So you look at Formula One and you take perfect conditions, and I think there's no arguing that Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes have been the dominating force all season long, and when in perfect conditions. And the minute the conditions go away, though, all of a sudden Max Verstappen becomes the fastest guy on the track. So interesting dynamic that goes on there. In addition to that, you had a great IndyCar race. I think Dixon went on to win. I saw parts of it. I didn't see the whole thing. You had, Hamlin. I think Hamlin won the Pocono race. I didn't get a chance to see that. It was the end of the Tour de France. So I am going to bring up the Tour de France today. And congratulations to Egan Bernal from Colombia, who went on to win the Tour de France. And I'm mentioning this for a few different reasons. Number one, because I'm a huge cycling fan. Number two, congratulations to Colombia. Colombia actually lists cycling as their national sport. So here in America, I think our national pastime is considered baseball. Colombia, it's not soccer. It's not motorsport. It's cycling is their number one sport, they call. So anyway, Egan Bernal went on to win what was a crazy weather-affected race. And I'm going to transition this right now. And that's what I watched this weekend for the most part was the Tour de France. I know a lot of you guys aren't big cycling fans, but I'm going to bring it full circle. So Egan Bernal wins the Tour de France. That's 3 weeks of racing. On average, 120 miles a day. In total, they did 22,000 or 2,100 miles over 21 days of racing. And the amount of, if any of you have ever ridden a bike, a 10-mile ride can wear most people out. These guys did over 2,000 miles in 3 weeks in race conditions. Intense through the roof. And the reason I bring this up is Egan Bernal won $556,000. Typically, when a cyclist wins the Tour de France, he will literally give half of that back to his team. So all the guys, the domestiques, the guys who helped him win it. So of that 556, he's going to give away $228,000 of it and win $228,000 for his effort. Now, let's flip this around. Fortnite. Any of you guys hear the story of the weekend? The big tournament, the World Championships. A 16-year-old from Pennsylvania wins the championship and gets $3 million. Now, when we talk about the bubble of esport, let's do the math on it. $3 million might not be that obscene if we are talking the Super Bowl of football or if we are talking a FIFA championship or something. But when we're talking about gaming, so in order to return on investment for $3 million, they were in a huge stadium. This was in, what stadium? They're in a huge stadium, Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium, and it looked like it was sold out. I saw a picture of that's a cool picture right there. You can see the stadium in the background in this shot here, and it's filled up in the upper rafters. So You have the ticket, the gate sales. I don't know what kind of exposure it got, but the comparison, how I'm going to flip this over is, if you do watch the tour, you will watch millions of viewers on the side of the road each and every day. Now, it's free to go. You don't pay admission to do it. But in addition to that, you have international coverage all over the world. You have huge amounts of money backing the Tour de France, and yet the winner is walking off with only $500,000. Fortnite, single tournament, essentially, and $3 million is the prize. So I'm not saying that $3 million is an invalid prize. It very well could be. But you really do have to question the return on investment. And that will be, when you hear me or Billy or Austin or any of the people who are questioning or watching over the world of esport to find out if it's really here or if it's going to pop. These are the factors that we're taking into consideration. This is the math behind it. Hey, Fentona. I'm going to disclaim that. Fentona, thank you very much. I saw your message early. Glad you were able to make the show live today. Much appreciated, though. I really appreciate the donation, keeping the wheels turning over here. So, anyway, that's the way we're thinking about it. And, congratulations to this kid. 16 years old. $3 million winner. One tournament. He could go on to do this over and over and over in theory. Single biggest esport prize ever paid out, by the way. Fortnite. I wonder if I can't even. All right, what else? On a smaller scale, Josh Rogers scores his third Porsche Esports Super Cup win of 2019, so showing to be one of the dominant forces in that Porsche competition that is the big road racing side of iRacing. Also, I'm going to mention this one, Lionheart. I apologize to Lionheart. Man, I hate people who join series and then just bow out or just get flaky or don't show up. And I joined the Lionheart IndyCar series, and I've been nothing but flaky. I also should give a big apology to John G. Hill, my teammate, who's had to carry on without me at over half of the races. So anyway, I'm talking about Lionheart Retro Series. That's not the one. This is the one that guys who run the Lotus 79. And Sage Karam made it to the last event. And actually, what's cool is he went on to win the event. That's cool. That's great. It actually was some strategy that played out. So when you think of Sage Karam in the world of sim racing, I got to tell you, if there's somebody in sim racing, maybe even in real life racing at times, that I would say his attitude is you either win or you crash and burn trying. Those are the only two options. Sage Karam had to back it down and milk a gas tank for 3 to 4 laps longer than he was able to get. And he knew he was going to have to do that very early in the fuel run in order to win. And he, sure enough, did it. He was able to back it down, coast into corners, carry some speed, let it roll, and be easy with that gas pedal, which is not the Sage Karam way around the track. But he did go on to win that race, and congratulations to him. And I love when strategy plays out, real life or in sim racing. Stroll, if you think about strategy, just that he was the strategist of strategists, or the team behind him in the F1 race. So I do love when it comes down to more than just the car, more than just the driver, but when it's the whole story behind it. I was thinking about buying Fortnite just to know. I've never played it. Is it fun? We clown it. I know we do. I do. But maybe it's worth playing. I was talking to my buddy Jesse just the other day about diversion games, and sometimes we need something that is the opposite of what we normally do. I used to play a lot of Civilization as an example. I downloaded the latest version, bought it, and it was terrible. Or not terrible, but it was so much the old game just with new graphics that I was bored instantly, and I can't use that as a diversion game. Fortnite is free. I did not know that. I'm going to have to try it out. I got to know. Does it support VR? No VR, no buy. All right. If it's popular, you won't play it. You are just sick about hearing about it. Flight sims, cranky. I find flight sims to be too time consuming. So when I'm looking, Steph Dona just subscribed as well. Thank you very much. Much appreciated on that as well. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to thumb up. If you enjoy what we're doing, if you like our conversation about sim racing, be sure to thumb up the channel. And if you hate what we're doing, well then before you leave, give it a thumbs down. That's okay. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. So, anyway, flight sims, I just find that they take so much time, the good ones, the ones that I want to play, like an actual Microsoft flight sim, or I can't remember their competitor, which I played a lot of, very good, or DCS, for example, but I find that they take so much time that I can't use them as a diversion. Civ 6 is I think it's, John, I think that's exactly, I think I did Civ 4 and loved it. Civ 5 I never bought. Civ 6 I believe is the new one, which is totally boring. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, not impressed. Not impressed. What are your guys' favorite diversion games? And maybe they're a driving game. Maybe it isn't even completely leaving the discipline. I talk about, Wreckfest. I take my Wreckfest pretty darn seriously, but at the same time, you could consider that a diversion game. X-Plane, thank you, Greg Turner. Yes, that's exactly it. You are the real star of today's show. I think for me to play a flight game, it would have to be really arcadey. And when it comes to, War Thunder is too arcadey for me, because that's like practically a keyboard game, isn't it? FSX was very flawed. Yes, I had heard that. I bought it, played just a little bit of it. Fallout and GTA. Grand Theft Auto, that is the king of diversion games. So, all right, there's a new flight sim coming, though. So, Assetto Corsa, I didn't get a chance to watch this. With all the real-life racing going on, you would have thought I would have taken the time. But the finale did go on in the SRO Esports for Assetto Corsa. This was going on in conjunction with the Real Blancpain series. As you know, we talked about that building up. Don't know. We have the picture. I don't know who these guys are. And they didn't give us any names, which, in my opinion, I'm pretty lazy about titles and descriptions and things, but come on. Here's a post saying, congratulations to our podium drivers. Fantastic work, but then they don't give us any names. And we're not to the point where we are as famous as a Verstappen or a Hamilton. Gotta love this picture, though. Here you are getting your champagne. Some of these guys didn't look old enough to drink champagne, by the way. And there's Eau Rouge in the background. I love it. Man, who would have thought sim racing was ever going to get where we are now? Seriously, who ever thought? Another picture just talking about qualifying underway. Another shot. Here's the guys looking like they've been into that champagne. And I'm thinking, are all these guys even 21? I don't know about that. So, what else? Steve Letarte. I watched a little bit of that as well. I've seen I've seen a few of the Dale Jr. podcasts, if you want to call them podcasts, videocasts. Or podcasts. No, I've listened to his podcast version of that. I haven't actually watched it. The video posts on race department with winners' names. I think I missed that, but we'll cover that again on Monday. I just remind you guys that it was going on. My countdown keeps changing. I think this is going on like right now. Is it not? Let's refresh this, see what's going on. Begin in 2:42. No, this is a replay already. All right, so also having taken place was the qualifier number 4 for the Logitech G Challenge. So, again, like I said, there was so much real-life videos going on, real-life stuff, and then I did something on Saturday I was kind of proud of. In addition to watching all that, if any of you guys saw alcohol-free champagne, or cider, perhaps, this weekend, City Skylines is one of those for me that's perfect, because I can just leave it running in the background and do other things. This weekend, I did a video on my platform that I have built for my rig, and it's not something that everybody in the world needs, and I didn't even put the video out for that purpose. It was more just to give you guys ideas that, like, hey, maybe there's something else you can do to your rig, whether it be raising it off the ground or building a cabinet for your equipment or whatever. So that was the whole point that I did that video. But on Saturday, instead of watching the Logitech G finals, instead of watching the SRO competition, I actually wrote that script, filmed it, and edited that show. Saturday, I woke up really early, brutally early, like 4 in the morning. And I got it posted by like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So it was a major undertaking. Oh, there's a big wreck. All right, what else? You want to win? How many of you guys knew that Kimoa, the longtime sponsor of like McLaren and Alonso, how many of you guys knew that was a karting school? I did not know that was a karting school. I just assumed it was some, well, European company name and never researched it. But want to win this Kimoa? I should disclaim that. Kimoa FA karting school cap signed by Fernando Alonso. Of course you do. Head to the official Grid Instagram channel. There's the link here. And check out their latest post. Find out your name or a hat for this one. So that would be a... thank you, Tim. Thank you very much. So yeah, if you want an Alonso signed hat, you can just do that. Pretty easy to take part. Just go to the Instagram for Grid. Xbox players only. If you have Xbox Gold, right now Dirt Rally and Dirt 4 are both 80% off. So that's a pretty good deal if you want to take advantage of that. What else? This I might do today. I'm debating what I'm going to do today. Where are the headphones? I have my review written for the Ferrari. If you guys watch my driving, you know I run the Thrustmaster Ferrari Scuderia headphones. And I did a review on that, and I finally got the script all ready to go. So today, my options for today after this show are either film that and get into editing. I think I have some more B-roll to film. I don't know if I've actually filmed them on my head, even though I use them every day. Or do I want to do this? I was kind of thinking, I wouldn't mind seeing what this is like. We talked about that scenario on Friday with Billy on the F1 2020 eSport entry. So if you want to qualify for next year's, you can do it through these scenarios that they're having you run. So if I do that, I'll go live. Just haven't decided which way to go. Joe, we probably could have before he had his own thing going, but now that he has his own thing, he probably doesn't have enough time. By the way, some great... thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. I wasn't sure if people would like that video or not on the platform, but I just thought it would be a good idea. Astro A50s. I used some Astros years and years ago. I haven't in a while. Devin, what were your... Here, I'll give you guys my nutshell opinion. I mean, please still watch the video when I produce it. The Ferrari Scuderia headphones are $100 headphones in price, and they are equivalent to $80 headphones that you could buy without Ferrari branding and the cool look about them. I found that the headphones were good. I found that headphones were okay. I mean, adequate for $80 headphones. But ever since Mr. Joa Antonio gave me a pair of Sennheiser headphones, which I broke, so I no longer have, and I heard what quality headphones sound like, after that, I could hear that the Thrustmaster headphones, like their low end, the bass sounds just kind of all blurred together. I thought they were okay on the mid-range. I thought they were okay on the high range. I found that the bottom end was just kind of a flat line. Yeah, exactly. It's the Sennheisers, and I was never a guy who was going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a pair of headphones. And I don't remember what... I was using some junky headphones, and Joa said, I have this pair of Sennheiser old ones. I'll send them to you. So he sent them to me, and these are like the equivalent to like $150 wired set of Sennheiser headphones. And the sound was so beautiful that it literally ruined every other pair of headphones that I've ever owned. And to be honest with you, I'd always bought like Skull Candy headphones for like my cell phone. And because of that, I went and bought a pair. I like wired. I bought a pair of Bose wired. And I bought a pair of Bose wireless. I have 2 different headphones for my cell phone. I did not go cheap. I went with Bose because I was like, you know what? High-end audio is worth it if you care about audio. Now, a lot of people break headsets. Like, honestly, I go through headsets pretty quickly. I step on the cord, I yank on them, and so I go through a lot of them. And so I've never wanted to spend a ton of money on it. Master Dynamic, Devin, is the next set that I'm eyeballing for my phone. In the studio, I would love to get a new pair of Sennheisers, and I'm just debating whether I'm going to go wireless or wired. Joe has ruined a lot of people's lives. Yeah, but the Ferrari headset, they look really cool. It's got a couple of features. I'm giving you guys the review right now. I'll do the full review. It's got a couple of features that I think are really key and important for sim racing. Number 1, they have an extremely long cord. And in general, I think as sim racers, our computer's a little bit further from us than a typical keyboard gamer. So that's number 1. Number 2, I love having a volume knob that's easy to do right on the headset. That's really cool. Number 3, the microphone actually does work rather well. It's a pretty good microphone. I've had no complaints from anybody listening to me. And I like the way it moves. I like the way it goes wherever you want. I also like that it has an independent volume for the microphone and a mute for the microphone on the cord as well. So, and then they look cool. They really do look cool. They look like the real pit box type headphones like you'd see the Ferrari team wearing. So, and I think that's where the $20 is, by the way. So when I say that this is a $100 pair of headphones that are equivalent to $80 headphones, that extra 20 are those features that I just mentioned. Excuse me. So, yeah, I'd love to get more headphones. I never really thought of myself. Headphones are a little hard to review because I can't really show you what they're doing. So when I was writing this review is a real challenge. I hope you guys don't mind these diversions, but I guess this is sim racing discussion / news. The things that I can't show you, like when I do a build, when I do a rig, I can show you how much play is in the rig. I can show you how it assembles. I can show you its welds. I can show you its paint quality. When it comes to headphones, I can't let you hear what I'm hearing, and that is the most important aspect of headphones. In the case of VR, like when you talk about VR games, I can't show you what I'm seeing, so it's really hard to review those types of products. But I'd love to do more headphones because I've learned that even though I have bad hearing, I can hear more than I thought I could. Like, I immediately can tell the difference between quality and not so much quality. Excellent. Yes. Speakers. I haven't run speakers in ages. But that's just more of a privacy. I also like the immersion. For me, speaker systems are really cool. They sound nice. They annoy your neighbors, annoy your people who live in your home. And you don't have the extra warmth or a headset on. But for me, putting that headset on is like putting blinders on a horse a little bit. It just gets me a little bit more focused, a little bit more in the game than audio from the speakers themselves. So, RaceRoom also. Oh, there we go. RaceRoom talking about their big 2.4 spa event. Another one I didn't, so I'm showing you guys this because you can go check it out for yourself. If you're at work, here's a 3-hour stream you could be watching. So if you're at work today and you want some sim racing entertainment, you could be watching the RaceRoom Spa 2.4 hour. You could be watching the Project Cars Logitech G Challenge. That's another hour and a half of streaming that you could be watching today. And in addition to that, you could be watching the SRO. I think the easiest way to find that might be through RaceRoom. I'm not sure if they have a link to the whole video right here at their page. They should, but they might not. But anyway, that's 3 super quality streams that you could be doing today to kill time at work. We already talked about the deal on Rally. That's, again, only for Xbox Gold players. We already talked about Cody's. I think I might do that today, debating. I don't know. Is it time for fun? That would be more fun than recording a video. We already talked about the RaceRoom Spa 2.4, and I didn't. Live stream today from Playground coming up at 1 p.m. Talking about update number 12 coming later today for Playground games. So I'm assuming that's for Forza Horizon 4 getting another update, and they will be talking about that on today's stream if you want to know more about Horizon. I haven't played that in a while. I almost fired it up not long ago, but didn't get around to it. Also went on this weekend was the GT Sport. You had the Nations and the Manufacturer Cup going on. We got some rankings following that stage 1 result. So Lexus leading the way over Mercedes-Benz with Toyota in third. And on the driver's side of things, we've got Turismo Defsun from Canada in first place. Car Lamb from the United States and Turismo Windfire in third. That was for stage 3. Don't see stage 2. Stage 1 was Turismo Defsun. Once again, TRC Stagger and Car Lamb. So Defsun and Car Lamb definitely having a good event right there. What else to talk about today? Live for Speed. Live for Speed. It's trugging along. Hello, racers. Their previous was talking about Toyota updates and the new lighting system. Since then, Scowen Roberts, has done more work on the lighting, which may be interesting for some readers. Eric continued with Kyoto for some time. He has now moved on to South City, which isn't yet ready to show, but we can show you some more pictures from Kyoto. So anyway, we have some more imagery on the upgrades. Wow, it's kind of funny. Live for Speed making a comeback. Your guys' thoughts on this? We didn't discuss Max's spin. We talked. I just grazed upon the fact that we had a bunch of really good racing the weekend. I did watch the F1 race. I did watch parts of the IndyCar race. I watched every minute of the Tour de France. And now I can go riding today. Hopefully that'll motivate me. No, test the past, no news from Fanatec. You know, I went to all of their media sites today, funny enough, and I go there almost every time I'm prepping for a show. But today I was like, you know, damn it, I am about time that we get this Fanatec thing wrapped up. I'm this close to reviewing the Fanatec podium without software and then sending it to the rightful owner of because I actually didn't buy the base. It was purchased by a big fan of the show. And he purchased it for our review, and now he's without wheel. I'm getting a little fed up on holding somebody else's valuable property. I'm getting a little bit fed up on waiting on software when we had to wait, 6 months for the wheel base itself, and then it gets here with no software, and then the software is supposed to be out months ago, and now we haven't even heard a word. Not even I'm sorry, I haven't gotten an email. There's nothing, no word, just complete grasshoppers. I was going to say crickets. Maybe it'd be funnier to say grasshoppers today. Anybody in the United States might know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what I was talking about with Live for Speed, though, rather than it be a new track, here's Live for Speed making their comeback. Apparently we buried them too soon, and they're clawing their way out of the grave. But they're doing it by updates to what exists, not new content. I almost would have expected them to start out with some new content just to get some new enthusiasm, but maybe it's a no wine before it's time kind of thing. Go Fast Gaming secures a playoff berth at Indianapolis. This is in the Heat 3. I keep reading this and I'm like, aren't there only 16 drivers in the competition? So if every team eventually will secure their playoff berth, because are you going to really restrict the field? Are you really going to knock it down to fewer than 16 for your finales? But anyway, another team has secured a spot. That right up at motorsport.com. LFS does great with motion. No, it's not RIP. It's back from the grave, Live for Speed. Yeah, I have an S3 license somewhere. I'd have to try to hack my code to figure out my thing. This is my thumbnail of the day, believe it or not. And not because of any thoughts I have on the game. I like the picture. That to me is a cool looking car. So when this game Race the Future review. An excellent game. that you are forced to play alone. So it's a single player total driver, gamey game. But I just thought, man, that's a gorgeous looking car right there. It's kind of like Speed Racer meets the GT40 kind of thing. I do love it. Anyway, I thought that was a gorgeous car model. Rise, Race Against the Future, single-player game, something you guys could be playing. I didn't read it. I just liked the picture. And I thought, well, it's obviously a little arcadey for us to talk about. But, and I don't know. For me, it's a little hard to play a game like this as a diversion title. Because it's like, well, when it comes to my racing, I'm kind of a purist. I need something completely different. But there you go. What else? MotoGP, talking about how critical bike setup is. So this is a whole write-up. Bike setup here is a key, as the machine needs good turning capabilities as well as tremendous stability. I think you would pretty much need that at any track. I'm not sure the track that you wouldn't need those things other than maybe Bonneville. But Valentino Rossi's track engineer, Matteo Igni, he sets up secrets that will help you master the Misano World Circuit. So there you go. You can check that out, article, find out how critical that is. This made me laugh. Change.org. So you can do your own petition at change.org. Leonardo Glusman started this petition to Frank Sagnier. Not sure who either of those people are. VR support for Codemasters F1 2019 game, PC, PS4, etc. Let's start with the PC if we're talking VR. I mean, in terms of getting it implemented, that's the most likely. Rita, some of you are going to come out as a zombie, like, yeah. I did like the paint scheme as well, absolutely. Oh, they're tree cutters. Can you hear that? Uh-oh. Okay, 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingy. VR support. So, if you would like to be part of the petition pushing Codemasters to implement VR, this petition now exists. They're trying to get to 100 people. Right now, 30 people have signed up. A little surprised with I mean, I think there are at least 30 of you who've made the comment or the joke, no VR, no buy. Now we are pushing back. So with this is a petition to Codemasters to include VR support for the F1 2019 game and future titles of the line. And why stop there? Why not include a dirt rally on this as well? We believe that in F1 2019, the sports VR will increase the adoption of the title by the esports racing community. I'm not sure they're struggling for adoption of the esport community, by the way. And increase revenue for Codemasters while broadening its consumer market for an alternate and future titles with VR support. I like the sentiment of where they're coming. If you just send them messages saying F you, you suck, they're never going to do anything about it. If you send them messages with creative, constructive criticism or a good argument for why they need to do this, then they might listen. A petition of people asking for something is how you get it done. I don't know if 100 people are going to do, but maybe that's just a starting point. I have not signed the petition yet. I may or I may not. You guys will have to decide for yourselves whether you will or will not. Don't know if a petition is going to move Codemasters. We could have a whole argument about VR and whether it's in the best interest of companies to develop or not. Is there enough of a market to do it? I mean, I don't mind, and I've never minded the joke, no VR, no buy. But at the same time, if you haven't completely adapted your rig over to VR, like you still can play without VR, well, you'd be missing out on a lot of fun by having that no VR, no buy opinion. I do love VR, and I absolutely, to this day, feel that sim racing is VR's best application. That and flight sims, perhaps. Every once in a while, I fire up VR and do some shooter games, and you know what? I have some fun, and there is not one VR game that has me truly drawn in, truly captivated. Some of them are cool. Some of them are fun for 5 or 10 minutes. I've bought countless VR games that I played for 5 minutes and I will never play again. If I had a friend come over, maybe I'd let him play Job Simulator. Will I ever turn that game on? Never again. Not a chance. Don't need to. I've seen everything it has, and it's not that good. So anyway, I love the topic. I love the debate. I love the companies like that do properly give us VR in sim racing, because VR is amazing. And I don't think VR is a fad per se, but it might be only a stepping stone. So like, you could say that 3D glasses were a fad, but were 3D glasses not a stepping stone towards VR? Is VR not a stepping stone to a VR AR or just an augmented reality alone? I don't know if that applies in sim racing, but a VR AR combination could be outstanding. If you think to the future, VR might be visual today, sitting here in 2019. And I have no doubt in my mind that what we see and feel and that immersion that we have when we're in VR is exactly the future of gaming. Now, will it actually be generated through a monitor into your eyes? Or at some point, and how far, seriously, how far are we from where Dreamscape? Anybody remember the movie Dreamscape? How far are we from, instead of a VR, you put something on your head and you close your eyes and you sim race? I don't think we're all that far away from such things. So, yeah, or are we just plugged in like the Matrix? Very good point, Amir. Very, very good point. So, yeah, or a holodeck where you go in an entire VR environment where it doesn't need the glasses. The whole room has become the VR or AR that we're talking about. So I don't think it's fair. Michael Clark, thank you very, very much. Much appreciated, buddy. Cup of coffee and a doggy bone from Max. We will take Max out and get him a treat today for sure. On Michael Clark. Thank you, Michael. But yeah, I do feel that we will look back on time. Like when you think of the movie Ready Player One, he put on a VR headset that was reminiscent of the headset we use today, but that movie's in the future. I don't see in the future us putting on a VR headset like we're doing today, but I do feel that this is part of the path of the evolution of the gaming and entertainment industry. Hong Kong Fooey, you made me laugh. I'm not sure the relevance, but you made me laugh. Wreckfest and VR. Have I ever ridden a sport bike? Futuristic Viper asked me. Yes, I have. And to be perfectly honest with you, I almost can't even say that I have, because I know I have a lot of sport bike friends. I rode a sport bike once and I wore the center stripe. I had an enduro that I rode on the road for a year. And, knobby tire off-road bike, but with license plates and lights. But you don't, corner on those. They're kind of sketchy for road riding. And the only time I rode a sport bike was just to kind of feel it, because I knew how to ride it, but I didn't. It was somebody else's bike. I have no experience on them, and I didn't push it at all. And I just kind of putted around the neighborhood a little bit. Chicken stripes, exactly. Yes, that's all I did was wore the center line. All right. So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you want to push Codemasters, go to change.org. Look for the VR support for Codemasters petition, and you can sign up and help be part of the movement. Billy Strange in the house. Luckily, both of us are out of jail. Neither one of us was arrested after Friday's show. I was concerned all week that I'd get swatted or something, and they'd use that as an example. Anyway, F1 New Balance Esports Series shifts into gear in China. So they're actually going to do a China-specific F1 series, much like what we've seen going on directly in the Chinese market, specifically for the Chinese market. So that's another future expansion. Billy, if you're just getting here, did you hear about the $3 million that was won by the Fortnite guy? I'm outraged. $3 million, but Egon Bernal only gets $500,000. What else? All right, Rekt Jobs. REKT Jobs. If you're looking for racing job, World Pro Racing. This is SRO Motorsports. SRO, the guys behind like the Blancpain series, right? Or the Assetto Corsa Competizione series. They're the group behind World Pro Racer, if I'm not mistaken. And they are a professional racing sim event organizer. See? And currently working on a project that will be launched in the coming months. They're looking for sim racing content creator. I know a few of you guys out there build tracks. I know a few of you guys out there have worked on car mods. I know somebody out there who maybe could help them with AI. World Pro Racing is hiring people for content. They are building this sim. They are building this game. Maybe you could use this application for a different type of job, just as an opportunity to get a hold of them. But at Rekt, if you're looking for a sim racing career, you will find sim racing content career listing for World Pro Racing. No idea on, what they want and what they pay or any of that kind of stuff. But you can check it out if you want. Isn't that crazy? $3 million. World's Fastest Gamer has an article here right up talking about huge weekend on the track for gamer greats. And I'm going to applaud World's Fastest Gamer for two things. Number one, this is a great article, worth the read. I actually read 3/4 of it at least. The other thing that I'm going to mention about this article is I'm going to pat them on the back for, they're not only looking at World's Fastest Gamer. They're not only looking at their efforts. This was looking across the board. So they go on to congratulate Lucas Ordonez on his ongoing career. And so he was racing this weekend. They talk about Sanchez is driving for Honda, another GT Academy. The GT Academy coaches are also racing this weekend at Spa. So many of the guys that we saw during various seasons of World's Fastest Gamer were out on track. These were the actual coaches. Rudy Van Buren out there in his debut for the Porsche Super Cup. Don't know how he did. I think it was this weekend, though. And anyway, they're just going on to say how many of us, and I'm not sure it was Igor Fraga, was he racing this weekend? I didn't see his name in this article, but he very well could have been racing. And then it's a matter of where do you draw the line? Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. You've got the NASCAR guys like Bowman out there each week doing sim racers, known sim racers turned real life or real life racers who also sim race. So cool article showing how much we are starting to have a weekly impact on the real racing world. And that is really, really cool to see. They're not one-time wonders. They're not one-hit wonders. They're not just getting their winning prize and being spun off. They are turning them into careers, lasting careers in some cases. What do I think of the new Corvette? I can do a whole show on what do I think of the new Corvette. Now, I have not seen it in person. I've only seen photos, and I've only read various things about it. I think the new Corvette is really cool. I would have really preferred that they had given it a different name. I'm a little bit more of a purist when it comes to my car marquees. So, like, when they took the Monte Carlo, for example, and turned it into a front-wheel drive car, I was like, ugh. It's a rear-wheel drive car. You don't like to me, the name of the car is part of what the model represents. I don't like when they make a big diversion from what the car's intended purpose and the naming was. If you wanted a mid-engine supercar out of Chevrolet, they should have called it something else. They should have just called it the Champion. And that way, any Corvette enthusiast of decades wouldn't be let down by the new car. Like, they wouldn't see it as a threat. So that's kind of how I feel about that. Now, on the other hand, I think it's a really bitchin' car. It's a long time ago, Chevrolet should have built something mid-engine like this. I think that it's good looking, not great looking, but I don't think of any of the modern supercars as being great looking. And I think that it came out at a very reasonable price for what it is, for a mid-engine supercar at, what, $60,000 starting point. But that version isn't monster horsepower. It's super high horsepower, more than you need. And it's a very heavy car for what it is. So I do look forward to the future version, like when they build the big boy versions of that car. I think it might really be something. Oh, good point. Yeah, they had already homogenized the Corvette name, so it's kind of critical that falls in that role. I agree. I understand that. It's hard to not upset fans of the car. I've always been a kind of a Corvette fan, so for me, it's okay. And you hear and say the same thing when it comes to I'm not gonna say it again. Porsche. Porsche builds the mid-engine car. Mid-engine design, let's face it, there's a reason that all supercars are mid-engine cars. There's a reason an IndyCar and a Formula One car are mid-engine cars. Mid-engine cars are the best design for speed and handling that you can make a car in today's knowledge, wisdom of cars. So Porsche finally builds some mid-engine cars, and they go out of their way to make sure that the 911 maintains that king of the hill in their lineup. And I think that's to keep Porsche 911 fans happy or from getting upset. So I think that naming is really important. And, like you said, maybe if they just came out with a different name, they wouldn't be able to get it in racing quick enough. But I think as long as they sell enough of them, which they already sold out this new design from what I've heard. So they could have called it anything. I think with the sales they've had, they would have been able to get it into any form of racing that they're looking to get into. Maybe it'd take a year or two, but they could always run the old one until the new one was ready and in their standard. I don't like when you really change your car. Call it something else. You don't, and I feel the same way, like when you make I don't even like, to be honest with you, I don't know I can't imagine that in what year did the Camaro come out? 64, 65? Can't remember when the Camaro came out, but what was the first year they offered a 4-cylinder? I don't even necessarily like when they take a car that's supposed to be an 8-cylinder and downsize it. Now, I know we're in a different world now, so maybe I need to get over certain things. Yeah, exactly. People get outraged over these changes. So I'm not upset about it. I just think it would have been cool. Camaro 67, thank you, Tim. I think they could have given it a different name. And I think but if they built a different car that was a supercar and they called it something else, would they still have killed the Corvette? Or maybe that's where the problem came in. So maybe if they had come out and called it the Chevy GT or the Chevy Champion, then Corvette fans would have said, what about the next year Corvette? By doing this, they ended that discussion right off the bat. So anyway, hey Lionheart, how you doing? What else? Did we cover this? This just kind of goes hand in hand with the Chinese market that we were talking about, but FIA keen to increase online racing involvement. We're seeing that across the board. We're seeing the sanctioning bodies getting more involved than they were. That big all-star race with NASCAR on NBC Sports Channel, that was more. That was a bigger bet than they had before. With the F1 2000 series, not only the doubling of the prize money for the next season, but the addition of the F1's China-specific version. We are seeing more bet, more money, more enthusiasm for the esports scene still. We just have to hope that it continues on. GT Planet talking about the next GT Sport update arriving July 31st. We're just a couple days. I cannot believe it's the end of July already. Honda Civic, Honda S800, Mazda Roadster, and the Porsche 911 930 Turbo from 1981. This is one of my favorite cars ever built, by the way, just so you know. Then 81 Turbo. I remember that car. So that car, actually, I probably, honestly, to be fair, I'm probably remembering more like an 84 or 85 version of that car. But this was the car that when I was like 15 years old, I was just like, that is the car of cars. I haven't seen any ratings on that NBC Sports Channel iRacing thing. I have not. Isn't it a Stingray? Don't know. I think I saw some convertible and removable top versions of the new Corvette as well. What else? A few more things to talk about, and then we'll call it a day here. Are you kidding me? It's already 9:50. We've been doing this for almost an hour already today. You know, this news show, when I first started the Simpit, or the pit stops, these are going to be 10, 12, 15-minute shows. Do you remember that? I need to learn to shut up. Speaking of, can you believe it's already the end of July? The end of next month, end of August, is when the ADAC Sim Racing Expo. We are already Sim Racing Expo time of year. Can you believe it? I will not be at Sim Racing Expo. If any of you out there want to do some coverage of Sim Racing Expo for us, please talk to me. Give me a call, give me an email, Shaun, Shaun, SHAUN at simpit.com. If you're going to be there, you're going to get footage. Love to talk to you. But put it on your calendars. August 31st through September 1st. I'm sorry, August 30th through September 1st is when the ADAC Sim Racing Expo. This is the biggest Sim Racing Expo I can think of. Love to see a duplicate. I'd love to be a part of a duplicate version of this here in the United States. But for now, we wait. I will not be able to. I was hoping this would be the year that I'd be able to go out there, but I actually will be racing a car that weekend. I will be racing at Laguna Beach that week. So there will be no Sim Racing Expo for Shaun. I will take real life racing over anything. End of story. Video came out a couple days ago from McLaren Shadow just saying F1's Lando Norris versus Sim Racer. I thought that was kind of funny. Who's really quicker? Well, to act as though Lando Norris isn't a sim racer, I mean, he was literally part of that team. They're all redline drivers, everybody there, with Max Verstappen. So we can't act as though this was a very, that's almost clickbait. It's almost clickbait coming from McLaren with some, come on, guys, you know Lando Norris is a sim racer. It's not real life versus sim. It's sim racer who also real life drives against sim racer. I don't see the comparison. And you could even say Enzo Benito is a real life driver now too, just maybe not as often and as glamorous as Lando Norris. But anyway, you can check that video out at McLaren Shadow on YouTube. Driving Italia Net. Here's SRO. Remember we were talking about, these are the guys. SRO. FIA Motorsport Games in Rome and Vallelunga have been announced. This is all more information coming out of SRO. So I think we're going to hear that World Racing and all the competitions that they're organizing and behind. This would be a good company to work for moving forward. So again, you guys might want to really think about that sim racing content creator as a way in the door for what could. I mean, just think, in SRO, with what they're doing, they could be a name synonymous with, you know, an iRacing or an Assetto Corsa or any of the biggest names in sim racing. So take note, keep that on your radar. What else? I already talked about that. All right, just a few rigs to show off. So, we are working with Max Verstappen, former engineer with the real car. Very cool, Vermin. Very cool. Igor Fraga does both. Yeah, a lot of the real-life guys are doing both now. You're going to see more and more of that. That goes back to the World's Fastest Gamer article where they're talking about how many sim racers are out there really, really doing racing. Billy, why can't you go to Sim Racing Expo? Isn't it a chance to go to Germany? I have a perfect excuse or reason. All right, PSA, use a monitor arm, they rock. This is just a post on Reddit. I'm posting because maybe you need a monitor idea. Looks like he has one of those Curve 49s on it. But it's sort of one of those RS1, Ricmotech RS1 plans, wood rig on casters. Notice another rig on casters. Let's count the rigs on casters today. This one's not on casters, but this is also on Reddit. Who posted that last one? Just so you know the name. Froggy Chief 1. This one here posted by Jedi Knight 1, and he thought this belonged here. His new rig. He's happy to be a member of this awesome sub. Thanks for all the advice as he sits there with his Sparko rig. Look at the Sparko rig. Kind of cool with the Thrustmaster wheel, Thrustmaster inverted pedals. And what are your guys' thoughts? You know, obviously you can do whatever you want with the computer, and if they're water cooled, they're really not even vulnerable. I see a computer like this, a total desktop computer case, laying on its side, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know about you guys, but when I see a computer on its side, it's like, that's not right, even though it doesn't matter at all. Of course that's right. That works just fine. It just kind of looks silly, and it just... I guess I'm a little obsessive-compulsive is probably why it gives me the heebie-jeebies. But anyway, cool-looking setup there by Jedi Knight. And then this was just going to be a GT Omega Art sim setup, and finally the picture showed up. And so there you go. But then if you scroll down this one, and this was posted originally by Danny John Law, and he's just talking about his rig. Anyway, it goes on to become one of a really good, just sort of generic. Look at this cane back chair for a sim racing chair with a wheel stand. Just a plethora of different sim racing rigs. This guy's got his sim racing rig at Spa under an umbrella. That's awesome. Anyway, just some cool rigs. This guy's bragging about his junkyard seat, and just a cool post there. Actually, a few that we've seen today were on that particular post. And then lastly, I'm going to show off Cranky Pants' work. So Cranky, you still here, I hope? Cranky sent me an image of his. This comes off of my platform with caster wheels. And Cranky, who's been a longtime follower of our sim racing efforts, all the way back to SRT Inside Sim Racing days. And you can see he's got those Ferrari Scuderia headphones over there on his some kind of stand off to the right. But you can see he has his entire rig built up on a platform on casters. What do you know? On casters. Anyway, let me scroll down a little bit. You can see he's got his title. Oh, come on. Don't screw that up. That'll screw everything up for the future. Bear with me as we move. We'll scroll this down. You can see the rest of it. He's got the dual handbrake setup. So a sequential and a handbrake from Thrustmaster. And good looking setup there, Cranky, as we look at your efforts and all your work. Look at this badass sim. Look at that platform. Easy to move around. The reason I'm loving the platform, by the way, is how easy it is to clean in and around my rig at this point. So, Cranky, that is quite a rig that you've got there. I mean, there's like nothing more you can throw at this thing, could you? Well done, buddy. Well done. Very impressed. So that is going to do it. The only thing I'm going to do, a little reminder, I don't have any graphics to go with it, but some racing that we have coming up. I'd love you guys to come out and join us. So Friday night, we tested out some heat racing on iRacing in the Pro 4 trucks. We did it Wild Horse track. We are going to switch this Friday, and if we don't get a crowd, then we're not going to do a season of these. This is me testing that it works and that there's enough enthusiasm for an off-road truck series. So it is essential. I'm going to send an email out to everybody who's part of the pit crew. I'm going to send an email out to everybody. I'm part of the patron group. I am announcing right now to everybody who's not, this is going to be a league on iRacing. You can join our truck series league, but we're inactive. I am slating an off-road truck series. So this Friday night, we'll go on track at 5. Racing starts at 5:30. We'll have heat racing and all that. The password is going to be Simpit 2019. I better write that down because I screwed it up the other day. Simpit 2019, and we're going to be running the off-road Pro 4 trucks on iRacing, and you're welcome to join us, and you can get out there and have some fun with us. So that's Friday night, and then Sunday, I'm going to send an email out to the patron group on this one. Sunday, we're going to do a Assetto Corsa Competizione race for the pit crew patron members only. And we are going to do that this Sunday. So I'm going to send an email out to everybody on that as well. But you can put those dates on your calendar and get prepared, get ready so that we can all do some racing together. We hit the 1 hour mark. I got to go get a drink. I got to go to the bathroom. I definitely got to get back to work. But it's been fun hanging out with you guys to start off this week. Hopefully it'll be a good week for you. You'll get out there, do some racing, have some fun. And if you enjoyed what we're doing here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give us thumbs up, give us thumbs down, whatever. Engage, make a comment, whatever you can do. Tell a friend. But that's going to do it for this one. This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you on the track.